All deployments are not created equal, but you'd never know that from your Slack deployment notifications. Many deployments you don't care about, but some you really do. They might contain an API change or a database migration, and you want that information surfaced better. That's why we built Sleuth tags to automatically tag your deployments with certain key pieces of metadata. I'm going to show you how it works. Here's an example deployment where we have 10 commits already registered. And I'm going to show you how first tags work automatically and second how to customize those tags. So first, if I go to my project, I have some code here and I'm going to change the POM file to something else. POM is a dependency file used for Java. And we're going to commit this POM change, and then we're going to push it up to master. And then we're going to tell Sleuth about it. Now, remember how to tell Sleuth about it is if you go to these instructions, they give you a nice little curl statement. So we're going to go back to the project and we're going to use this new curl statement. Now the SHA, of course, needs to be replaced. So we're going to do get rev parse short head. That will give us a short version of the SHA, and we'll hit submit. And then what we just did there is we submitted the deployment. And so now, if you go back to this UI, you'll see we have 11 deployments. However, notice something else. We also have this dependencies tag now registered. So not only is that registered in this UI, but also the Slack message that was sent out also has this tag. So now I know that this commit involved dependency changes, whereas another commit did not. So you might say, how did it know that? Well, that's where the automatic tagging comes in. If you go into setup instructions, you can see down here that we will automatically tag these, well, I won't select it because you can't see it, but we'll automatically tag these patterns with these tags. So this is a file format that follows very similar to the Git code owners from GitHub. And so you define a path using a prefix or some wildcards, and then what tags will then apply to it. So as you can see here, we had defined a pom.xml, and then the hash dependencies is what was automatically tagged. Now, that may be fine for you, but what if you don't call your database migrations? Or maybe you have an API package that you want to tag with API change to highlight that this commit or this deployment contained an API change. Well, that's where you can create your own tag file. And I'll show you how that works. So right here we have our project, and I'm going to create a .sleuth directory. Inside this .sleuth directory, I'm going to create a tags file. And we're going to have a new tag, and we'll call it, I don't know, what would it be? Let's say anything matching DB is going to be tagged with database. Okay, so now I'm going to create something. I'm going to create a database directory, and then I'm going to create a file in that. So db SQL data.sql, and we'll just put something in there. It doesn't really matter. And then we'll have to add that, of course. Okay. Whoops, I created that in the wrong spot. So let's move that over to here. I'll get it one of these days. All right, so here we have, so now we have a database directory. Inside the database directory, we have our data.sql. And again, inside of our sleuth tags directory, we have now defined a prefix db/, and anything that matches any files, if a deployment contains a file that is changed that matches this prefix, then it'll automatically get tagged with database. So let's see if that's exactly what happens. So let's add our .sleuth in our database directories, and we'll do a git commit. And then we'll push that up to GitHub. And then, of course, next we need to tell Sleuth about that deployment because we're using manual deployments here. So I'm going to go back to my curl, and we're going to execute this again. Now, this is now ran, So we can go back to our UI and we should be able to see a new deployment. But not only a new deployment, we should also see that we have a new tag. And that's exactly what happened. So you can see here's our commit that we just did, our deployment, and it is now tagged with hashtag database because we defined a pattern to match -db to automatically tag that commit with database. So now when I'm looking in Slack or I'm looking in the web UI and I see all these commits fly by, I can look for the ones, I can have ones that have a database change or whatever patterns I want, they can be highlighted in a special way so I know to pay attention to this deploy as opposed to other ones. And that's how tag works. If there's any questions or you'd have some improvement ideas, please never hesitate to let us know.